CallJane is the newest drama history film to hit theaters. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 82% with an audience score of 86%. Is the film really that good? Find out in my thoughts next. A married woman with an unwanted pregnancy lives in a time in America where she can't get a legal abortion and works with a group of suburban women to find help. The film stars ElizabethBanks, Sigourney Weaver, Chris Messina, Kate Mara, Cory Michael Smith, Grace Edwards, Christina Harrison, and Rebecca Henderson, and was directed by Phyllis Nagy. This is her directorial debut. CallJane, I never watched a trailer for this film. I knew that ElizabethBanks was in this film, and I knew that it was a drama film. So I really did like the costume design in this and the lighting in this film, and I like the overall feel of the 60s. You can really tell back in the 60s during this time, men have the upper hand in decision making, and women, they don't really have those rights they should be having. So in this film, you follow Joy, who is in her second pregnancy. She already has one child, and during this pregnancy, she pretty much has to have an abortion, because if she doesn't, she's going to die because she has this medical problem. And because she has this issue, her actual husband doesn't want her to get the abortion, which I thought was absolutely absurd. So what ends up happening is she ends up getting the abortion, and she lies to her husband that she had a miscarriage. And in doing so, she finds this underground network called the Jane Collective. The film has a strong subject matter of social classes and race and the different procedures that actually occurred during these times where certain races weren't getting the actual full medical treatment that they should be getting. And I think that the film, the way that it actually touches on the subject matter in this film, I didn't think it was too heavy, yet it was very informative. I felt like there was this sense of we really accomplished actually trying to really come a long way from this actual situation of abortions. But at the same time, I feel like we're kind of reverting back to certain situations. There was a sense of change and an overall feeling that you're doing something really good for an individual that may be a little bit more less fortunate than you are. And this film, it really made me feel like I really wanted to learn more about the Jane Collective, as they're really helping a lot of different individuals that are very less fortunate and are in situations that some of them are in their control and some of them are not in their control. And I think that's where this really sparks a little bit of debate about abortions in general. But I think in this film, this really showed a lot of poor people that really didn't have money to actually perform this procedure. And I think that a lot of times it really touches on social classes, specifically Black women that actually can't actually afford to actually get an abortion. And you have this underground unit that is working day by day to really make sure that certain people actually get that kind of care. So in this film, it really focuses on the money aspect too. So for instance, an abortion in this film costs $600. So not everybody can actually afford $600 back in the 60s. So they would be giving away free abortions. And it really doesn't touch on the actual situations of a lot of these women. They basically are just coming in and saying they want an abortion. It doesn't really touch on how this whole thing came about, of how these different women actually got pregnant. I think there's a lot of different situations that can really unfold, and this film can really spark debate if whether abortion is actually something that should be legal or not, or should it be choice or not. Everybody has a different opinion on this film, and I can see where this film would be very debatable amongst a lot of different people. I think at times in this film, the whole pace of it can be a little bit slow, but I think the narrative, it flows pretty well. It has a very talented cast. As far as the ending of this film, I found the film to be a little bit anticlimactic. As the film comes to a close, we get a little bit of closure, but at the same time, I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, that's it? I wanted to know a little bit more as to what really happened further down the line. And I think that this film, it's one of those films that it could be a little bit more uncomfortable for certain people to watch, but I don't really think that it's one of those films that it's too heavy on the abortion portion. It's more so this Jane Collective helping certain individuals out while also touching on social classes. So as far as a score for this film, I would give this film a 3 out of 5. I think it's a one-time watch. I think the performances are done pretty well for the most part, but it's not something that I really see myself ever really revisiting. I think it's a pretty decent one-time watch and not a bad movie if you just want to rent it for a couple bucks. I think it's at least worth your time. But then again, it really really depends on if you really care about the subject matter. I know that this is a sensitive kind of topic, so not everybody would probably really get into wanting to watch something like this. But I think that men, they may not enjoy this film as much because, you know, this is probably more so a women film, more so because it shows the women empowerment of actually having to choose if you want an abortion or not, or if you want to go through with a pregnancy or not. And that's really where this film really has probably a divide amongst people. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you interested in checking it out? Thank you guys for checking out my review, and I'll see you guys on my next review.